Now, the right time is obviously subjective, but I essentially mean the time when a story is able to resonate with you the most, thus making it the right time. But you never really know when that is. As weird as it sounds, it just is the right time. For instance, there have been moments where I have watched something for the first time and had the introspective journey that I'm talking about. Other times, I needed to rewatch or replay something in order to unlock a fundamentally different feeling than the first time I experienced it. These are the moments when stories end up becoming more than just a good story. For some very personal reason, they stick with you and can even metaphorically change your life. Whether it opens up a new perspective you have of the world or unexpectedly teaches you something new about yourself, whatever it is, after you've experienced the story, something is different about yourself. So, I want to talk about a few stories that I believe I was able to experience at the right time and why I believe it was the right time. Beginning with I watched this show on a whim after hearing about it from several places. For those of you that don't know, the show is about Yatura Yuguchi, who, after creating a painting for a school assignment, develops a newfound love for art and decides to pursue it in university. I know. Okay, it may sound a little boring, but trust me, this show is amazing. One of the biggest themes that the show tackles is the doubt of one's own ability, the dichotomy between talent and hard work, which is something that I think about a lot, especially when it comes to my own passions. You see, in the show, Yuguchi constantly struggles with the acceptance that he is not talented at making art, and thus he feels he needs to work endlessly hard to keep up with those around him who he sees as truly talented. Yet, art is inherently subjective. What even is actual talent? Well, obviously, I think technical skill is what we define as talent, like how good someone draws something without practice, or how good someone plays an instrument without practice. Hell, I personally wonder if I'm actually talented at any of the things that I do, or if it's just the practice I put in to be good at something. I used to dance a lot, and I remember how many times I used to be called talented because of it, like it was a gift I was born with. But the reality is, I was never that good of a dancer to begin with. I just became genuinely obsessed with dancing at the time. I danced every single day because I enjoyed it so much. I would dance everywhere. School, at the store with my mom, the park, parking lots. If there was enough room to dance, I would. And I did not care if anyone was watching. It was a constant part of my life, and because of that, I naturally got better. In the first episode of Blue Period, Yuguchi sees the artwork of another student and offhand calls her amazing and talented. To which she replies,
才能なんかないよ。絵のこと考えてる時間が他の人より多いだけ。それにね、やっぱり絵もやり方とか勉強することがあってね、手放しに才能って言われると何もやってないって言われてるみたいで。
I remember having the same shocked reaction as Yuguchi when I saw this scene the first time. A complete understanding. I was shocked that the show tackled this to begin with. I remember weirdly getting emotional, and while I didn't understand why at the time, I get it now. When I saw someone dancing at school, I thought to myself, that's so cool. I want to be like that. I want to be the one in the circle making everyone lose their minds. I saw myself in Yuguchi. But unlike him, who later in the show goes on to put all of his effort into his passion, I lost mine. I remember being next to other dancers who were much better than me multiple times, and instead of thinking to myself, I just need to practice more to get better, instead, I just thought, I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. It was genuinely heartbreaking. Sure, There were plenty of other reasons why I stopped dancing and wanting to become a dancer professionally, but that was the biggest reason why I stopped. So when I saw this scene in the show, I felt all those conflicting emotions from years ago come back up all at once, and I ended up getting very emotional. I could have kept dancing just as a form of expression, but something changed in me. I felt as if I had lost a part of myself after constantly thinking I wasn't good enough. And because of that, I lost my excitement and drive to dance. This scene was only 12 minutes into the first episode, by the way. I don't think the show was meant to give such a visceral reaction this early, but it did to me. As the show went on, I even cried multiple times. This silly little show I went in thinking was just someone falling in love with the process of making art, and it shattered me. I get Yaguchi's yearning to express himself. And while I may have lost my old passion of dancing years ago, today, I, too, want to express myself through many different art forms. I want to tell stories and express how I truly feel the same way Yaguchi wants to by creating his art. Seeing his drive motivated me to finally start believing in myself, or at least try to, and take the steps to do what I want, just as Yaguchi did for himself. Later on in the still first episode, by the way, Yaguchi's teacher said something that stuck with me.
好きなことに人生の一番大きなウェイトを置くのって普通のことじゃないでしょうか。
It's such an obvious thing everyone knows. It's common sense. But in this context, it became a huge revelation and stuck with me. I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to lose the newfound passion I have today. I don't want to regret not even trying to accomplish what I want, especially when I already lost an old dream. This show unexpectedly destroyed me, but it built me back up again by the end of its first season. I'm telling you, I thought I was getting a cute little story, not a damn introspection about my own life. But still, I loved every second of it. And thankfully, I experienced it at the right time in my life. The next thing I want to talk about is this film is incredibly special to me. It is jam-packed with so many different themes that I can see so many people getting their own interpretation of what they just watched. I could gush about the editing, the music, the cinematography, etc. But at the heart of the film are some phenomenal performances and a beautiful story. For those that don't know, this movie is basically about Evelyn, who unexpectedly falls into a multiversal battle to save the existence of everything. At least that's what the trailer will tell you. But no, this film is much more. It's full of so much heart and is somehow able to juxtapose extremely silly laugh-out-loud moments with the most tender, emotional moments. Every time I watch this film, I end up getting extremely emotional and even cry heavily. When I first finished watching the film, I struggled to come up with the reasons why it affected me so deeply. But I think I get it now. This film made me think about so many things, such as my own struggle of finding meaning in the world, generational trauma, the absurdity of life itself, and so much more. It made me think back to when I used to have nihilistic sentiments about life the way Joy has, the notion that
nothing matters.
And the scene that still crushes me and makes me bawl my eyes out the most is when Evelyn and Joy talk towards the end. The response Evelyn gives when Joy asks,
Why not go somewhere where your daughter is more than just this. Here, all we get are a few specks of time where any of this actually makes any sense. Then I will cherish these few specks of time.
This scene is incredibly poignant and reminds me of the times I've seen my mom and my sister have similar conversations like this. It also reminds me of the many times I felt overwhelmed with emotion and struggled with finding the words to describe how and why I'm feeling a certain way. It's such an incredibly tender scene that even rewatching it for this video nearly made me cry again. Another part of the film that still to this day fills me with so many emotions is the devastating line Raymond tells
如果
Evelyn.
有来生，我还是会选择和你一起报税，开始一点。
Besides this being possibly one of the most romantic lines ever said in a film, the whole sequence that plays during the monologue beforehand is what gets to me the most. Because I feel myself at a constant fluctuation between Raymond's strategic positivity and Joy's nihilism. I remember genuinely thinking that life did not matter. Let me jump into my own bagel. Thankfully, today I don't think like this anymore, and in an effort to combat this kind of thinking, I began to see the world the way Raymond does. Because of this, when I saw both sides of what I think of as my old and new outlooks on life, needless to say, I bawled like a baby. It was a surreal experience, but I felt understood. This film, more than anything, reminded me of my present philosophy of life. That you have fulfilled your purpose by simply existing. It is a gift that you are alive today. Regardless of your own struggles, you are able to exist, to feel, to simply be. Because nothing matters. Everything matters. Every moment you spend is something to appreciate. Every single moment. Whether you're full of ecstasy from accomplishing a goal or simply staring at the stars in the sky. The small moments where any of this makes any sense are the ones we should appreciate the most. This is something that I think I was starting to forget, but this film reminded me, and because of that, it holds a special place in my heart. Unfortunately, long after watching the film for the first time, I began to fall into a persistent fear of the future. There is so much to do and not enough time. It can make you spiral with fear that your time is running out. There are so many different possibilities. I often feel as if I have to finish things quickly. I have to constantly be productive, constantly be achieving something, constantly be doing something noteworthy, constantly moving towards my goals. Time is running out. It's exhausting. But strangely, I've started to calm these thoughts because of While a big message I took away from Everything Everywhere All at Once was to cherish the small moments of life, I don't think I really started implementing it day to day until I played Outer Wilds. This game was recommended to me 2 years ago with the description, "It's Subnautica in space." To which, now that I finished it, I say,
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
aside from maybe a similar art style, and the exploration, I guess. Honestly, that's where any comparison stops. Outer Wilds is about your character being a part of a space program and traveling your solar system in order to discover what happened to the previous civilization, as well as generally just exploring what's around you. I initially liked the game, but I did not love it. I loved the exploration, but was really struggling to understand the story, and whenever I finished doing something, I found myself always asking, now what? I played Outer Wilds for the first time back when the world was still feeling like it was standing still in early 2021. So I think I felt like since everything in my life was pretty slow compared to before, I wanted something more exciting and easier to understand. Also, I was incredibly sad about the state of the world and worried about the future, contemplating the unstoppable force of time, reconciling with the inevitability of death, blah blah blah. Point is, I didn't finish it, and I wasn't exactly longing to go back and finish it. However, I just finished the game at the time of writing this a month ago, and I am so glad I did. I got back into playing this game again because I started to hear people talk about the game across the internet, and the final thing that convinced me was Daryl Talks Games' video about it. In the video, he describes his own struggle with enjoying the game, but ultimately pushed through and was grateful for it. So I told myself, okay, so many people still say that this game is amazing and worth it. I'm gonna give it a try again. And surprisingly, this time, it clicked. I don't know exactly what it was, but the game just made much more sense to me. Now that the world is normal again, albeit a new kind of normal, I was putting self-induced stress on myself about what I was going to do and overthinking about the future and all its possibilities. I felt like I lost 2 years of my life that I had to get back, which was definitely part of the issue. But this game teaches you to relax. It tells you just to enjoy what you've experienced. I remember as I kept playing the game, I increasingly became frustrated with its time loop. I remember when I began to hear the inevitable music, I would find myself saying the same words. No! Stop! Please! I need more time! But eventually, I came to understand its purpose. See, the game tells you multiple times that it's fine to come back later. You don't have to do everything all at once. And I finally understood that everything was happening for a reason. While I won't give away the ending of the game for obvious reasons, I just want to say that it was one of the most comforting endings I've ever experienced from a game. And as weird or dumb as it may sound, I felt comfortable with life itself. I felt content with the way the future, as scary as it seems, will play out despite not knowing what's to come. Obviously, this may just be momentary and I may develop some sort of anxiety again, but for now, I'm in bliss. It was such a special experience and I'm truly grateful I got to experience it at the right time. This game was the final knot in a three-way experience. These completely unrelated stories unexpectedly got me to think about my life and led me to learn something about myself in such a deep way that they became related together because of it. Blue Period told me to take a chance on myself and put in the hard work to be able to express myself through all facets of creation that I desperately desire. Everything Everywhere All at Once reminded me of my views about life and to cherish every moment of existence, as absurd as it may be. And finally, Outer Worlds told me that it's okay if I don't get everything done in a day. Take time to enjoy what's right in front of your eyes. Everything happens for a reason. The universe isn't working against you. If I had experienced these stories at different points in my life, I don't think they would have hit nearly as hard as they did. I believe they were able to have a profound, lasting impact on me because I experienced them at the right time. Thank you for watching this video. It was very hard to write as I struggled with formatting what I felt and thought of while I experienced these very different stories. Before you go, I want to ask, what are some stories you're able to experience at the right time, and how did they affect you? Comment down below what you can think of. If you like this video, please give it a like to help me out, and once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day or night.